Hey folks, it's Maxie here and welcome to another TEW2020 video. You join us for what will be the conclusion of year 3 of the save as we have All Out, because of course we started the night after All Out 2021 in real life. Quite a difficult show to follow from last year. Last year's 98 rated show, the year before was 91, so a lot of pressure on us to try and obtain that, try to better that, surpass it, and try and go for the 100 rating. I've taken a gamble. It's a shorter match, it's less than 20 minutes in the main event as we have Kenny and Bryan go one-on-one, but this is the real push to try and get the 100 rated match. Bryan main evented last year against Tyler Black. That got a 92. And the year before, we had the main event of Hangman versus Adam Cole versus CM Punk in an 85. Truthfully, there's a lot of matches on this show. I think it takes up maybe 18 of the 27 segments, so we'll run through the storylines that have occurred over the last couple of months to the last month or so to give you an idea. After this, it's still going to be weekly videos, but I'll take like a 2-week break for actually playing the game, because then it gives me an opportunity to book out what's going to come, because I've got to do the Dynamite anniversary show, then we're straight into sort of a Grand Slam, then we're into the anniversary show, and then we're into Full Gear, so I need to get storylines planned for that. I'll maybe switch the brands up a little bit between Dynamite and Rampage. But yeah, without further ado, we crack on. This is the third version of All Out by myself. Let's go for that 100 rating in the Almadome. Let's do it. So here we are in the Almadome in Texas, in front of just under 70,000. I think, considering the way the industry is with the decline in the wrestling industry and the economy, that this can certainly be something that we can be pretty proud of, being honest. It says trade words in a sports entertainment segment, you know, that way you get a high package before the show. It's Kenny Omega, it's Bryan Danielson, who's going to be the best in the world. This is their opportunity to do so, so we just have that kind of vignette as both their reason of why they believe they are the best in the world. Of course, the head of the elite, the head of the Danielson Fight Dojo, who is going to be the main man, at least technically, in AEW 95 for that. So good start. Of course, we've got all the boosts on to try and push towards the 100 rated show, because I want to get the accomplishment done, an achievement in this game. The start of the show is very match heavy, then segments will pop in every so often, but yeah, it's a lot of matches back to back. But then again, AEW pay-per-views have had history of doing that. We went straight in with a 94 rated matchup, an exceptional matchup. Saw MJF pick up the win over John Cena in 9:53 with a Swanton Bomb. These guys have just delivered a 94 with a lack of psychology. The match was just under 10 minutes. I think I aimed it for 10 because Cena has massive stamina issues, but that makes me think this probably would have been a 96 or a 97, and would have been fighting the main event had the stamina not been an issue, but that and the psychology, this would have been 100 all over it. But what I've done is there's a reason why this was at the start of the show. It's going to build up to stuff later on, but MGF picks up a massive win over John Cena, 91, 93 and 84 overall, and he's changing to a douchebag because he's getting a bit stale, and that is Initial Route of Poor, but it's a very marketable gimmick, so that's at least one promising sign there. Next up, we had a tag team matchup between two guys with a connection together, and it seems like they've got excellent chemistry, so that's good to see. And then two members of the Supreme Collective, of course, being Ethan Page and Ricky Starks. It was a good matchup. AJ Styles and Prince Devitt pick up the win over Ethan Page and Ricky Starks in 13:52 when Devitt pinned Starks with a double knee gutbuster. Overall, a 7-8, that's pretty good. I just feel like I needed more baby faces to pick up wins here, because I was kind of thinking, am I booking too many heels? But Starks and Page have got all the potential in the world, but it is the two former Bullet Club men who pick up the win. We then have an elaborate entrance, because it is All Out as a marquee pay-per-view, so Mercedes Varnado gets it, as she will be challenging for the TBS Championship against the champion Arisa Nakajima. Not a massive build towards this one, just a match I felt would have a good rating. and that has been justified, and their bout that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd, as Arisa Nakajima defeats Mercedes Vernado in 11-19 with a bridging dragon suplex. It's her first defence of the belt, far too early to take it off her, but she's bringing an 80 rating. I just feel with her psychology stats, she can elevate any opponent she's got. I feel Mercedes is maybe one that needs a bit of a popularity boost, so I'm hoping a good matchup at the event can maybe start towards that. But a 78, very happy with that, and adds a bit more prestige to the AEW TBS Championship title. We then had like a little fantasy 8-man tag, you know, because I was trying to get as many people on the card as possible to push the point of such a stacked roster. And it was the team of E, Kofi and the Hardys who defeated the Fatu brothers and Proud and Powerful at 11:55 when E pinned John Fatu with the big end. So obviously good to get the both of the New Day members over here, teaming with the Hardys. I think getting Santana and Ortiz involved to make it not really that old WWE involvement, and a 72 is pretty damn solid. Next up, we had another exceptional matchup that saw Cody Rhodes pick up the win over Drew Galloway in 17:05 with the Crossroads. This one just at an 83. Again, the lack of psychology kind of hampered it. To be fair with Cody, I was really struggling to give him an opponent here, and I felt like we need to keep him strong, we need to keep the Supreme Collective strong. So with Drew Galloway step up here, Cody picks up the win, because I still feel he's got a good main event run in the future. We just need to work him towards that. But 83, not bad considering the psychology penalty. Next up we hear from Jon Moxley, and he just says, you know, it was maybe a bit difficult getting an opponent for here, but it's a big occasion, it's a big moment, it's time for a big fight, and Jon Moxley is ready to go to war. He says, was looking for someone in the back, you know, that he felt like had a very, you know, cocky attitude, smug attitude, maybe someone that needed a little bit sorted out, and he realised that maybe the 0x champion, well, he might be heavier than it is for that belt, he can still knock the stuffing out of him. So time to bring it on Sammy Guevara as they do battle. Next, their match was also exceptional as Jon Moxley pinned Sammy Guevara in 18:02 as he defeated him with a Death Rider. A 92 and a 91 performance here. The sadness is the psychology. If I could get Moxley just over 80 psychology to carry matches, I'd be delighted, because some of those would be easily 92, 93s. It's the only thing holding them back. But great match with him and Sammy, and the Wild Thing picks up the victory. And the show's looking really good so far. And another 80 plus matchup here into the 85s as we have a new women's champion as Demi Bennett put it in the line in a fatal 4-way, and it was a superb matchup that saw Jade Cargill defeat Charlotte, Demi Bennett and Becky Quinn in 17:38 when Jade pinned Charlotte, her former teammate, with the Jaded. This means that Jade Cargill is the AEW Women's World Champion, and I believe the first Grand Slam winner in AEW, so she's on her way to becoming a Hall of Famer in AEW. But if I can be serious for a moment, to quote Lance Storm, Jade Cargill has developed well in the save. The psychology is in a great position because of QT Marshall being her mentor and her being the protege, and as I say, the tag team with Charlotte got up to like mid-80s in overness, so even some places she was peaking up to about 87 in terms of overness, so I have no qualms of putting the Women's Championship on her. It's going to be really interesting to see how much we can push her, and it allows me with the Fatal 4-way to go heel to heel champion. Next up, we've got the Hangman, and he says he is desperate to have a match up tonight. He's issued the open challenge for week after week after week on Rampage. Will someone step up? Now this one isn't a last minute booked thing, this was pretty early in, this match was booked in. His opponent was someone I didn't think I'd get from WWE, but we have, and I feel like it was two people would put on an absolute banger. So that's a 78 rated match segment anyway. We move on to the TNT Championship. Of course, that Hangman match will be later on tonight. I tried to make it a bit more realistic with promos being way before the matches, so you get a bit of time for them to get into the zone. But went for a 6-man in the TNT Championship, just a normal regular 6-man, no ladders or anything, just some mighty good wrestling, and they've really delivered 185 here. It was the first defence of the TNT Championship for Pac, and he managed to retain it in a match that had great wrestling and good heat, as he defeated Jungle Boy, Miro, Pete Dunne, Tyler Black and Darby Allin in 1632 when he pinned Jungle Boy with the Black Arrow. It kind of allowed me to put Jungle Boy in somewhere, gave Darby Allin and Tyler Black somewhere to wrestle, but I feel like that's a good matchup, and it kind of means we can start on with the Pac reign going forward. Next up, we had the Lucha Underground Championship on the line as Rey Mysterio had his 2 title defences plus winning the gift of the Gods Championship. And it was a good matchup here that saw 2 luchador legends, you could say, in action. And Penta defeated Rey Mysterio in 13-10 by using underhanded tactics. So a second defence of the Lucha Underground Championship for Penta. And it's going to take a little while before someone can contend. Rey Mysterio would need to win 3 more matches or lose it and someone have 2 title defences to face Penta, and that was an iterated matchup. Pretty solid. We then had a matchup for the IWGP United States Championship. We managed to get that one on the Alliance loan from New Japan, and I kind of thought in this one that Andrade would have carried it with the psychology stat, but obviously not. So this was one where Ricochet was like, he feels like he wants to go for a championship, and he was eyeing up that IWGP, the title that Andrade had, both in different brands, so cross-branded promotion on that. But they had superb wrestling and great heat, as Andrade defeated Ricochet in 1837 with the Brilliante driver, giving him his 4th defence of the IWGP United States Championship title. 86, absolutely stellar work. Next up, we have Eddie Kingston. He is about to take on Ace. These two have had a bit of back and forth recently, of course, Ace being Adam Copeland Edge. Disappointing it was only an 83 rated segment, but that may be because of the gimmick being stale for Eddie Kingston. But basically it's just really saying it's amazing how, like, as a roster gets bloated and bloated, it's people at Edge that are just, you know, wasting time and getting in people's way and stopping these youngsters propelling to the top. It's time that, you know, they take a bit of a beating, and Eddie Kingston's going to kick the hell out of Edge. Make sure he never comes back. Got to add a bit of heel heat to the end of it. And their matchup was superb. Eddie Kingston defeats Ace in 11:55 with a back fist to the future. Again, limited because of his stamina, but I felt like it's a good chance to push Eddie over. Ace with a 79, Eddie with the 85, and it was a 77 overall. Ideally, the plan is to turn Edge eventually heel again, but he's not obviously too long joined, so we need to wait it until the crowd aren't sick of it, and then we'll react and give it. We also made a storytelling because I just felt like I needed a match to be storytelling, and that was the best case scenario. Moving on, we had the Lucha Underground Trios Championships on the line as we had a matchup between the House of Black and For the Culture, and it was a victory that saw House of Black pick up the win. Buddy Matthews, Malachi Black and Brody King defeat Keith Lee, Swerve Strickland and Tez Ford in 14:26 when Brody King pinned Tez Ford with the Gonzo Bomb, giving the House of Black their 4th defence of the Lucha Underground's Trios Championships. I felt with this one, the plan will be eventually put the belts on Lee, Swerve and Tez. I feel it's the best way to get used to them and get them over. Keith can go towards the main event. Strickland can kind of be like the TNT Championship, and I think Tez as well can go towards main event. He's going to have the promo skills, but I just feel I need to get used to utilising them as a singles talent, and I feel like getting them in the trio and then the branch split will be fine, but they'll get the run anyway. And I feel to start with I need to get the likes of Buddy Matthews and Brody King over, because well, Malachi Black is the oldest, I believe, and need to get Buddy in a good spot after this. But 76, very happy with that title defence. We swiftly move on to a grudge match between 2 former Ring of Honor guys, 2 former WWE guys in the form of Kevin Steen and CM Punk. Just as these two having a back and forth, with Kevin Steen being a bit pissed off at CM Punk's actions of the last few months, and to get them both on the card. And I felt like I really have criminally botched Steen and Zayn, especially. Zayn's not even on this card, so he's going to have a massive redemption arc. But yeah, not great, but booking of both of them. But anyway, I had Steen pick up the win here. Superb wrestling, great. He defeats Punk in 12:45 with a package pile driver. I think I had to protect Punk here, yeah, keep him strong because he was a bit unhappy. Punk off his game, 78 rating, but I felt like it was the best way to get Steen the overness from pinning CM Punk. Because he's obviously, again, older in age, so the stamina's not quite where he needed to be in game. We then have a promo from MJF, a disappointing 80, maybe because he's never had a target, but he just said here he's defeated John Cena. He truly is one of the GOATs. He's defeated the best of all time, and it's time for him to make a goddamn statement so no one forgets the name Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So 80 rated promo. We then had a tag match because of recent ongoings when Walter announced that he was mutually leaving the Danielson Fight Dojo. It was fine. Bryan Danielson was quite happy with it. He said, that's fine if you want to go your own way. He says, nothing but respect, I know a guy, and this might lead to other guys joining. But it basically led to the debut of Axel Barthel, I'm going to go with. I know his name is Marcel Barthel in real life, and he obviously used the name Axel Dieter Jr., so combine the both. But I felt like these two together would be insane against the Young Bucks. They beat down the Bucks previously on Dynamites, and this was the big matchup. But we have to establish them and give us another strong team. And about how great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd saw Walter and Axel Barthel defeat the Young Bucks in 14:25. When Walter submitted Nick Jackson with a rear naked choke. But great performances from the Bucks, great performances from Walter and Axel Barthel. I think you'll tag name for them eventually, but we get a solid 84 matchup. We move on to our tag team championship matchup, and disappointingly it does flop because they have wrestled each other countless times, Private Party getting the upper hand. But I booked this in, I said I was going to do it. Maybe I forgot they did so many matches recently. But decent matchup. FTR defeat Private Party in 12:39 when Cash Wheeler pinned Mark Quinn with the big rig, meaning new champions in the form of FTR. I thought this being a wild brawl would have possibly made this overrule the fact that it was, it would be a really good matchup, so they'd be like, holy shit, this is amazing. But disappointed it was only 59. But we do have new tag team champions in FTR. So looking forward to actually getting them really over, because the booking that Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn have had has been spectacular, both into the mid-70s for popularity. We then had the opponent for Hangman Page debuting in All Elite Wrestling. Clearly would never happen in real life, but when he popped up I went, you know what, he's so good, he makes everything look so easy, half-asses it, and it's still world class. And it is Randy Orton. He says he's tired of all the bitching and moaning of Hangman, and this is apparently meant to be elite wrestling, and let's just see how elite people are when I can beat them without even trying. So 84 for the accepted challenge from Orton. Debuts a Viper gimmick, and their matchup was superb, and Randy defeats Hangman in 18:21 with an RKO. Simple, effective, you're not going to have him losing his debut. He obviously needs to get the overness, which he never quite had in WWE in-game. So a 77, but we'll improve that over time. Hangman with the 90, and just an 83 overall for the 18-minute matchup. Road agent was Madison Eagles, so maybe that could be a reason why the match suffered. We then have Paul Heyman, of course, who had recently realigned with Brock Lesnar, and he's not hyping up an upcoming match with Brock Lesnar, he's hyping up Brock Lesnar's upcoming match. He just basically cuts a lot of spiel saying Brock Lesnar is back to where he needs to be. Brock Lesnar is challenging for the AEW World Championship. It's the one that's eluded him, and Adam Cole has no chance of surviving this matchup. You are going to see the best Brock Lesnar there's ever been, the complete beast. Because Beast Incarnate would probably be copyrighted, but 76 there. Yep, I kind of panicked for an Adam Cole opponent, so Brock Lesnar decided to step up and just keep beating up Adam Cole every so often. So naturally, with how booking goes, I'm not WWE, we have Adam Cole pick up the win. So super matchup, Adam Cole defeated Brock Lesnar in 13:30 with a flying crossbody, giving him his 6th defence of the world title. You can see that Brock has massively flopped in terms of stamina and overness, because obviously him losing to Wardlow, etc. So the 75 was expected, hence why it didn't main event. And Adam Cole was off his game, not great either. But I knew Cole would carry it with the psychologist that he's got. We've got Drew Gulak road agent, so that wasn't too worrying either. But yeah, it is what it is. And because there's other things planned for Adam Cole in the future, and the programme that I want him to jump to is obviously post All Out, because after he wins, it's time for a beatdown, or an attempted beatdown, by Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He goes to attack Adam Cole, but before they really get into it, they have a few blows, but then the security, the refs, everyone splits it up. But we are going to be working into a programme of Adam Cole MJF for the AEW World Championship, because as of yet, MJF has never held a championship belt in my save, which is mental. Crazy to think. But so yeah, you want your main event for Grand Slam and for Ash. It's not going to be 20,000, but we're still going to run it there. It's going to be World Champion Adam Cole defending against MJF. And that'll lead us to the main event. Mark Henry has a few words with Bryan Danielson, speaking of their matchup with Kenny Omega. Don't know why I tried to go Excalibur there, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully these two deliver. Bryan says, they've had a lot of, fights over the years. One of his first fights in AEW, but he is here to show he truly is the best in the world, and he thinks he can do that against Omega. So that's in 81. He says he's now got a more badass approach, and he's going to hurt Kenny while he picks up the victory. And they just miss out. They actually had better matches respectively against Sammy, but I felt like going less than 20 minutes was going to benefit it. But it was an exceptional matchup. We might push a 100 here for the show, as Kenny Omega defeats Bryan Danielson in 1808 with a one-winged angel. So Kenny shows that he is the best in the world. Bryan is going to get frustrated. I think the plan is now, because Bryan's starting to get a physical decline, I'm sure. So I was going to start yep, you can see there. I was going to kind of start getting him in a bit of stuff with Garcia and try and raise Garcia up. Not too sure where we go with Kenny, but 95 to finish it. Will the boosts make it a 100 with the 295 segments, so it might just miss out? But a lot of good matches, a very solid undercard. We've done it! Yay! We have a 100 show finally. It's all finally happened. I still can't get the 100 match, so God knows how I'm going to get 50 then before we're done. But that's the first 100 save, first 100 show in the save. And that has literally been a case of a lot of patience, 3 solid years of booking, and a lot of patience is definitely there. But you can see that we've signed a lot of people for WWE, but once we were in a financially good position, we just went all in or all out even, and ensured we got the perfect show. So overall pretty good. I actually say that the opening half of the show was better than the latter part. But you can just see how stacked a roster we've got, and why we kind of rotate after every kind of, you'll not see every wrestler on every pay-per-view, but it allows you to mix and match stuff. And that was, again, no Shawn Michaels on the pay-per-view. I'm kind of hoping he now retires so I can just retire him peacefully. But if we can work Shawn into a programme, we'll see what we can do. So we'll have a look and see what happens as we begin year 4 in the save. It might be the furthest I've got. And a full-on save, if you get me, where I'm booking every show, multiple shows a week. Because I think my WWE ones maybe went 2 years, because obviously the amount of stuff you're doing. But we'll try and power on to 2025 and further. I'll take a wee look and see what I can do. But remember, it'll be a case of next video will be next week. But obviously, I'll be taking a few weeks personal away for the game. You just won't notice that, really. But just to kind of get myself an idea of where I'm going forward. So it's a little bit of the plugs and stuff out the way there. So, All Elite Wrestling has held AEW All Out, which was in the Alamo Dome, and was fantastic. Feedback was incredible, good to see. Dynamite's done on ITV4. I just want to stick on the AEW Plus network. That's going to be fine, that gets us our money. Jim Ross is gone. He's obviously skills are not quite up with everybody else's, so just let him go. You'd imagine at 72 in game he'll retire soon. Also complete a run in Toonami in Japan. But you can see there, WWE, NXT, there's SmackDown, there's Raw finishing runs with various places around the world. Fred Rosser has claimed the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Quite a few other places there, Black Label Pro, Ice Ribbon completing runs, although to be fair, Ice Ribbon could just technically jump on the AEW Plus network, because we own them. So that's just confirmation of that. Shawn Michaels has gone from NXT UK. Sayami. Well, that's because we've got them scouted. That's fair enough then. Jim Ross. But most importantly, Chris Sabin says that Jungle Boy's turned out a good worker. He's just pop-capped, so that's obviously the big shame with Jungle Boy. Viewing figures was 25.64. It'll be 0 on pay-per-view because it was on AEW Plus, but we'll make up enough money there. and after the last show, AEW has had a rise in importance, now rated as highly regarded. I don't play this in as many years into the future to know if that's because of the 100 rated show or just because it already had something, because it's obviously one of the main pay-per-views, so I'll be intrigued to see how we do, but absolutely delighted that that is the first. If I go to here, the first ever 100 rated show. We've came close with 98s and 97s and 96s, but to finally do it is great. But you can see there that Danielson, in fact there you go, Danielson versus Omega was in at number 2. MJF versus John Cena was my third best ever match, so I had 2 of them on that particular show there. But yep, Kenny Sammy at 98. I think Sammy's pop capped as well at 85, so I don't think I could even push that. Maybe at a pay-per-view possibly. We'll see if they go all out, but really I just want to keep Sam away for the title scene at the moment because he's been obviously there for a long time as a former world champion. But delighted with that. You can see there Kenny and Danielson went in a Rampage back in September 22, so a year into the save, and June 2022, and then 2 years later. So close, the 95. But great to see Cena up there. Shawn Michaels in the top 5 is incredible as well. But yeah, it's been a good journey, and yeah, we'll just keep going and seeing what we can do. So I say financially we're absolutely fine. We're making countless money every month, 25 profit. Don't even need to do pay-per-view anymore. As I say, the broadcast revenue is fine. And if I've had to run 2 events in the same month, then it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So we don't worry about that. We're just going to keep putting on fantasy matches and chasing various records. So cheers for watching, much appreciated. Hopefully you'll join us for that MJF CM Punk match, MJF and Adam Cole matchup, which will be AEW Grand Slam. Then I'll have the Dynamite Anniversary show, and I might fit something in between that and Full Gear. We'll see what's available. But take it easy. Fantasy Booker subreddit, Good Luck Software forums. Check it all out. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.